Okay, that's live streaming. Okay, everyone, we'll be starting shortly at 7:03. Giving it one more minute. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us tonight for ANC 5D's public monthly meeting for the month of February. Friendly reminder, we did select to move forward with holding our ANC public meetings every second Tuesday of the month, excluding the month of July and December for the breaks. I see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 we have all commissioners present, is that correct? Great, so we have a full house. With that being said, if you have our agenda easily accessible from the service of our email or your ANC commissioner, if you look at the agenda, we have first standing reports and administrative business, following standing presentations, which is our typical protocol for sharing information to the public before we go on to commission actions. So the first part of our agenda is call to order and roll call. So I'll call to order this meeting. I say 7:05 p.m. Our monthly public meeting has begun. And with that being said, I'll do roll call for the ANC commissioners present. As 5Ds 01.
Present.
Perfect. 5D02.
Present.
5D03.
Present.
5D04.
Present.
I am 5D05. I am present. 5D06.
Present.
5D07.
Present.
5D08.
Present.
And 5D09.
Present.
Perfect. So we have a quorum today for tonight's meeting. That means we can move forward with any upcoming actions that we need to vote on as a commission as a whole. Moving forward on our agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda. I'll go ahead and state that our agenda is always served to the public 7 days in advance of tonight's meeting. With that being said, again, we have some typical housekeeping that we tend to do, follow with some presentations, a requested presentation on a BZA matter, consent calendar items, and voting action items. For the public that is not familiar with the consent calendar, those are items that were already discussed while the commission held quorum and were voted to be added as consent calendar item to be voted on as a whole during tonight's meeting so we can proceed with the meeting without using too much of the public's time. With that being said, are there any commissioners that would like to make changes to tonight's agenda as served to the public?
Yes, I would like to remove the Washington Teachers Union resolution and the trash committee document from the consent agenda or consent calendar, rather.
Commissioner Henderson, the only items in the consent calendar items are a letter regarding public notices to the Board of Elections, a letter to Councilmember Parker for the investigation of Fort Meyer Construction Company, and a resolution, which is the letter that you referenced, the Washington Teachers Union's contract. There's nothing regarding the trash committee on those consent calendar items. Did you hear me, Commissioner Henderson?
I
Commissioner
request that the Washington Teachers Union resolution be removed.
from as a consent calendar item.
So we need to take a motion and vote for that.
Can we get a second for this motion?
I'll second it.
Yep.
Second by Commissioner Arbuckle. Those in favor of removing those in favor of removing the resolution regarding the Washington Teachers Union contract presented by Commissioner Roblin at the last COW meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Was that one aye?
Who's two?
Two ayes. Those opposed say nay.
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 And any abstentions? Okay, we'll keep the item as presented on the consent calendar. Are there any other additions or changes that we need to make to tonight's agenda before moving forward?
Yes, I would like to add Mike Myers to speak a couple of minutes about the Washington Teachers Union resolution, just to inform the public on what's going on with it.
Commissioner Robin, would you, since you're requesting that, would you like to add it under your 3 minutes as a commissioner's report? It's a consent calendar item and we don't technically need to discuss further, since we already
Sure.
discussed it at our last meeting.
Sure, we can substitute that for my 3 minutes is what you're saying.
My suggestion.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Okay, perfect. Commissioner Rhodes, did you have also someone that you would like to speak during your 3 minutes?
Mr. Chair, hold one moment. I think there's a hand raised from Commissioner Henderson.
1 second, I'm just clarifying the need for these 3-minute commissioner reports. Was there someone to present, Commissioner Rhodes?
The resolution for Project Pipes, if it's just a voting action.
I think it was the item regarding the mentoring
no, we can do that next one.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Commissioner Henderson, you have your hand raised.
Let me see. Excuse me. Discussing a matter at the committee of the whole meeting is not the same as discussing the matter at the lawfully required public meeting. So whatever you discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, I mean, okay, that's fine, but it's not legally binding. It should be discussed at this public meeting.
Okay, any other comments or anything else? Any other additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, with that being said, I'll like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as served to the public. Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner May. All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Opposed?
And any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. The agenda is approved as served to the public. Moving forward on the agenda, we have our adoption of the minutes. These were prepared by Commissioner May and Commissioner Roblin, if not mistaken. Are these the minutes that we are presenting to the public? Commissioner May?
Yes, they should be linked in the agenda for anyone who is looking in on our agenda. Nothing particularly noteworthy here outside of the fact that we, as you recapped at the beginning of the meeting, Commissioner, we set our schedule for the year. We also elected our officers. So all of that is included in the in the minutes.
Perfect. Are there any questions from the commissioners or the public regarding the meeting minutes of January's public meeting? And friendly reminder to the public, if you do have a question, you can drop it in the Q&A. If you are one of our beloved seniors, you can use the raise your hand function to ask a question directly. Okay. With no questions, I'll make a motion that we adopt the minutes as presented by our secretary and vice chair. All in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting, say aye.
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 And any abstention, any nays,
Opposed?
and any abstentions. Okay, the ayes have it. We'll go ahead and approve those minutes from last meeting. With that being said, 7:13 p.m. we are going smoothly in our agenda. We have our treasurer's reports, and we have a few reports from Treasurer Commissioner Cobb. Commissioner Cobb, you can go ahead and take it from here.
Thanks, Commissioner. Actually, just one report this month. There is no monthly report for January because the Office of ANC's just switched all our bookkeeping records over to a different kind of software, and there are some bugs with it, so they're working those out. I'll just report January and February at next month's meeting. But we still have the quarterly financial report for Q1 of fiscal year 2024. Because our fiscal years start on October, this is the report for October through December of last year. So there's not a whole lot to it. We started with an opening balance in October 2023 of $31,134.63. We had 2 allotments that totaled $5,663.08. And we had expenditures of $1,319.71, most of that being items like Verizon Files for the office, MailChimp, and other communication media. So we actually ended the month of December 2023. We ended the quarter with more money than we started, ending with $35,478.00.
Perfect. Are there any questions from the commission on the quarterly report? Commissioner Henderson, you have your hand raised?
Yes, there's no OANC difficulties aside, there's no excuse for the treasurer not to be able to provide the numbers for our account at this meeting. And 2, what is the status of the audit for ANC 5D?
I'm not doing the audit, so I don't know. But as far as the monthly report goes, I have an email from OANC saying, just hold off on it. We'll fix it. We'll let you know when it's fixed. So
Which is
not
true.
to-
That correspondence is between myself and the treasurer since we're executive officers for 5D. So we got the okay that this is permitted. But Commissioner Henderson, was there a question on the quarterly report?
Again, why can't the treasurer provide the information on the quarterly report? I don't see what
The commissioner
OANC
did. The
technicalities
commissioner
have to
did
do.
provide the
And please
information
don't
on the
talk
quarterly
over me.
report.
Excuse me, I have the floor, and that means you are not to interrupt me.
Commissioner, I'm trying to keep you on track because you're out of order. The question was, do you
You're
have
out
something
of order,
regarding,
and you
do you
not
have something
understand
regarding
that
the
when a member
quarterly
has the
report?
floor, you are not supposed to talk over me. Please learn basic decorum.
Commissioner Henderson, again, the question is, do you have anything on the quarterly report which the commissioner has provided information on?
Move on, please, and learn some decorum.
You don't. Okay, well, thank you, Commissioner. Anything else, Commissioner Cobb?
No, we just have to take a vote to approve the QFR.
Perfect. Can you put the motion on the floor?
Sure. I move that we approve the fiscal year 2024 Q1 financial report as is.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner May. All in favor of approving the report as presented to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Opposed.
And any abstentions? Okay, ayes have it. Move forward. We approve that report and we'll get that to the OANC. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, perfect. Now we have our standing presentations. We're doing good on time. We have our commissioner reports, which are 3 minutes each, an opportunity for the commissioners to give a brief report on their single member district, followed by the public safety report, which we have one of our captains from the 5th district attending, and also the mayor's office and the council member's office for Ward 5. So with that being said, we'll start based on roll call. We'll start with 5D01 for commissioners reports.
Hello. Hope you're all having a good day. I don't have any major reports for today.
Okay. 5D02.
Yes, I would like to add that the EJ Amendment Act of 2023 is going up for a hearing on March 18th. And we all, if you are interested in testifying, please email me or just follow DOEE or Councilmember Allen's website, and it should be there, or follow Zachary Parker, our Ward 5 council member, and it should be there. We have, if you want to become a mentor, please contact info@collegebound.org. They need some mentors, and if you have the time, please serve our youth. And that's all for me.
Okay, perfect. Is that the correct email address I dropped in the chat, Commissioner?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. 5D03.
I was giving my minutes to Michael.
Is that Roland?
Yeah, yes, I think so.
Perfect. Okay, Mr. Roland, you'll be allowed to speak.
Can I propose that we move this person to the end once all commissioners have spoken?
That's fine. 5D04.
Thanks. Just one thing, that DDOT will be having an open house on Saturday, March 2nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Trinidad Rec Center, where they will display plans for the redesigns of Mount Olivet Road and 17th Street Northeast. As you might know, DDOT has been thinking about redoing these streets for a couple years now, and they are nearing the end of the process. But this is just one more opportunity for anyone in the public to come and offer their feedback. Generally, it's not really like a conversation. The way these open houses go is there are a lot of different tables with different portions of each project, and you can speak with the DDOT expert and provide any feedback you might have or ask questions. It's a really good collaborative process, and I think it's a really good way to get information and have your voice be heard. So again, that's DDOT's project about Mount Olivet and 17th. It's on Saturday, March 2nd at the Trinidad Rec Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and everyone is welcome.
Perfect. Anything else, Commissioner?
That's all.
Okay, perfect. I am 5D05, which is Northern Trinidad and Mount Olivet. We've had a lot of activity recently. I'll let MPD discuss that in terms of some recent matters that occurred here our way. But in terms of events, we do have our weekly senior citizens meetings at the Trinidad Rec Center. Um, any seniors in the area are invited to join us. The current rec manager, has come back into the area and is using Tuesday mornings, Tuesday between 11 and 2, as opportunities for the seniors to get together at the rec center. So if you have availability during those times, feel free to go to the rec center to meet up with the group. It's about 8 to 10 folks joining Mr. Shaw at this time, and he's looking towards getting that group to be a little bit bigger. Outside of the senior meetups at Trinidad Rec Center, Jabo's Compact Store and the Men of Trinidad, which is a group here in Trinidad. The Men of Trinidad is putting together a coat drive, which coats can be donated at Jabo's Compact Store on Montello Avenue. This Saturday between 11 and 3, the Men of Trinidad are doing a community walk throughout the neighborhood. So if you happen to be a male or masculine identifying individual in the neighborhood or surrounding neighborhoods, feel free to join us this Saturday at 11 as we walk around the neighborhood in solidarity for some of the needs that our community currently needs. And in friendly plug for your calendars, we have a couple events coming up through the year here in our way. One will be June 1st, which will be an Elder Appreciation Day, which more information to come, as well as Trinidad Day, looking like it would most likely be on August 24th, if I'm not mistaken. But any of these items, and then this is an open invitation to the public and commissioners, any items regarding events in the community, feel free to let us know so we can place it in our 5D calendar, which is easily accessible on our website. So some items might be outdated, but feel free to check in with your commissioner if you have any questions with items on the calendar. With that being said, I'll pass over my time to 5D06.
Good evening, members of the public. Commissioner Kathy Henderson, 5D06. I had the pleasure of attending DDOT's performance oversight hearing on this past Friday. It was 10 hours, but it was well worth it. And it was overwhelmingly clear that a lot of individuals have some serious concerns about how DDOT operates. And a number of other residents commented on the process for changing roads. I also had a meeting on the 30th of January regarding DDOT's proposal to reduce the roadway of 17th Street and Mount Olivet Road, which is, that's problematic. One, there hasn't been any substantive public input. This matter seems to be a plan that was worked on prior to, any traffic accident or fatality in November of 2023, and it's not practical. So the feedback that I received from the meeting is that people are not in support of it. And the feedback I continue to receive is that people are not in support of it. And additionally, DDOT has used this process to make changes throughout the city that the residents are not fully engaged and do not support. And that's problematic. We want to partner effectively with DDOT, but we need them to effectively partner with us. Additionally, I did get a commitment from Councilmember Allen and Director Kirschbaum to change the lighting wattage throughout my single member district. So if there's anyone else that feels that the newly installed LED street lights are too low, this is your opportunity to reach out and indicate that you want them changed. We have new managers at Safeway. That's working out nicely. The Safeway parking lot is in the process of being repaired. It's cleaner. They have new dumpsters. I reported on this before. I hold weekly cleanups every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with CSOSA volunteers, and it's working out wonderfully. We've been able to address the cleanliness issues in 3 single-member districts, and we're going to continue to do so because the need is there. We continue to have individuals that are deliberately throwing trash in the community. Some of residents, some of my constituents, and a few of residents in surrounding SMDs have reached out to me with photos of individuals that are deliberately throwing trash. So we want to make sure that we stop these individuals because it's ridiculous. The neighborhood needs to be clean, and it's common sense that everyone who lives here should want the neighborhood clean.
Okay.
I'm very pleased with
Commissioner Henderson, the 3 minutes
I'm very pleased with Ross
Commissioner Henderson, I'm taking the floor out of order. You've had 4 minutes to speak, so we'll let the next commissioner speak. 5D07.
Good evening,
Also,
everyone. Juan McCullum, 5D07. I just want to just be brief here. I want to first thank Commander Altieri and the police, and also our council member for owning up to their promise of installing a camera on Bennett Place. Bennett Place and 19th Street. We now have a camera. We requested this some time ago, and we have actually been on the police and on our council member to make good of that promise. And I met with the council member in January, and that was one of the first things out. Was he asked me if the camera had been installed. I told him it had not, and he got right on the phone while I was meeting with him and started texting. And so I'm very thankful that we do have that camera there. I'd like to say to all of our constituents here that just because we have that camera there, still continue to call. Like we've been told, everything is run by data. And so I would like for folks to continue to make those calls, continue to report anything. If you see something, say something, please continue to do that so we can continue to have representation in these problematic areas here. I'd also like to let the constituents know that I hear your cry about these alleyways that are having a lot of illegal dumping. I do agree with Commissioner Henderson when she says there's a lot of deliberate trash and individuals who are just coming here and just, I mean, you live here and you're not wanting to see the area clean. And so our next focus is going to be really walking these alleyways and trying to get this illegal dumping of large items cleaned up and removed from our alleyways. Working with DPW now. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon on all the issues that we have. And I've said very early on that I'm of the business of establishing good relationships, that when we ask for things, we will see those happen for us. And so now we are working with DPW to really, really see some changes in our alleyways before that gets out of hand and before the springtime comes. I do want to acknowledge that some of my constituents here in 5D07 have also mentioned that these new LED lights are not bright enough. For a moment, I thought it was just me, but I mean, they are really not bright. So we're going to jump on that bandwagon with Commissioner Henderson to request that we have some brighter lighting on our sidewalks. For me right now, I think that's about it. I want to continue to ask constituents to email me with any of your concerns, with any of your issues. I believe together we can kind of tackle some of these things that we have going on. My email, it'll be here in the chat, and my phone number as well. So please reach out to me if there's any concerns or any issues that you have, and I'll yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Commissioner May.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you joining us. I have just a couple of things that I want to touch on. One is reiterating what Commissioner Cobb shared about the open house on March 2nd with DDOT, and that is specifically related to the planned improvements for 17th Street and for Mount Olivet Road, which are long overdue. We're excited about seeing some action on those two projects. Both of those, as Commissioner Cobb noted, have been in the plans for a long time. They're part of DC's bicycle priority network and also part of their master plan for a bicycle network. And so it's been that they've been in the plans for a long time, but it's taken some time. And as many of you know, Mount Olivet in particular has been in pretty bad shape because of the Northeast Boundary Tunnel project, which just came to an end this year, or last year rather, as they put the tunnel into commission, which now means that they can make some improvements to the road. So if you have questions, thoughts, suggestions, anything like that, as Commissioner Cobb noted, this is intended to be a forum for you to give direct feedback to the folks who are making final design choices and preparing to put things into place. So we definitely encourage you to come and engage. And it is really intended to be a community-driven process, which is why we're having this event. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and actually we'll share a link. I do have some copies of plans that were current as of the fall for 17th Street. If folks want to look at renderings, again, they can be a little bit hard to read sometimes. So if you come on the 2nd, you'll get explanations in person from DDOT. The other thing I wanted to mention is that some people may recall last year we worked on securing some support in the in the DC budget for potential park space in Carver Langston. I had a good conversation with DPR a couple of weeks ago just about sort of the status of that park space. So I just want to share with residents that the money is there in the budget, and that park space, while it may not be, it doesn't necessarily need to be built in this budget year in order for those funds to be used. So I was reassured that it is part of their plans to explore design options to activate that space, and that residents should expect to see some progress there hopefully later this year. And I'm again happy to provide more details as well as a contact folks can reach out to at DPR if they have questions or want to make suggestions for that space. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you drop that link you dropped into the chat to everyone? It was just sent to the panelists.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I think I can only send to panelists. I don't think I can send to the public. Sorry about that.
We're fine.
I think the same thing happened to Commissioner Rhodes. I think her message also just went to the hosts and panelists.
Let me see if I can fix that. 5D09.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bernice Blacknell. I'm the ANC Commissioner for 5D09. I am very happy that Commander Artelia also, in reference to the cameras on 19th and Bennett Place, I also would like to inform the constituents on 19th and Bennett Place that Pepco power plant is the property of the DC Housing, and I am still working with them to get it secured and everything. So those are my updates for the February meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Roblin, you had someone that you wanted to use up your time for, Mr. Rowland. Mr. Rowland, you can go ahead and speak.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to allow me to speak. Thank you so much, Commissioner Roblin, for everything that you've been doing and your communication with us. President Polk's Lines and General Vice President Bell wish she could be here, but unfortunately, they are in a meeting currently, right? Today has been a very busy day, right? Nonetheless. But I just want to thank you so much for this resolution, right? I know it means a lot to our teachers, right? I know our bargaining team has been trying to finalize a contract sooner than later, because our current contract actually expired September 30th, right? So once again, our teachers are without a contract, right? I know a lot of times President Polk's Lines reminds everyone that the average age of our DCPS teachers is actually 31 years old, right? So we are getting great talent, but unfortunately, we are losing a lot of great teachers in DC, right? I know there was a great a council hearing in November where a lot of our teachers actually testified, right, with their frustration, and many voice, the fact that DCPS is once again allowing our contract to expire, right? President Polk's Lines would like to remind everyone that, yes, there was a contract finalized in 2022, right? That was agreed upon. However, that was contract was 3.5 years expired, right? And our teachers essentially worked throughout the pandemic with an expired contract. But thank you so much for allowing us to have this time, to share our flight and everything that you all do.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. Okay, those were our standing commissioner reports. Do we have any questions from the public regarding anything that was shared by the commissioners? Mr. Johnson, you have your hand raised. Are you there, Mr. Johnson? Okay, maybe not. Sorry, trying to get hold of this.
Point of privilege, please, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, parliamentarian.
I just wanted to speak to the commissioners for a moment. just as a floor reminder, when any of us have the floor, what I'll continue to do is raise my hand whenever the time is up. And if a commissioner decides to continue to talk, we will let you finish that statement or that sentence. But we will have to mute whoever decides to just continue to run forward. But I would say that as a common courtesy, I will, before we mute someone, raise my hand here, just to kind of give you some type of flagging to know that your time has been up. So going forward, I think I announced that before, but going forward, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and no one feels like anything is intended to be disrespectful towards them. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. And a friendly reminder to the commissioners, just make sure you're following the timelines that we voted on at the beginning of this meeting based on the agenda. Okay. Moving forward, we have our, sorry, one second, having issues here. Have our 5th District Metropolitan Police Department in attendance today. We have Captain Monahan. How are you, Captain? Thank you so much for coming out tonight to our meeting.
I'm good. Thank you, everyone, for having me. As Commissioner Guzman mentioned, we did have a little bit of a busy last week. The first thing I'm going to jump into is the homicide that occurred in the 1200 block of Rom Street on Friday, just before 10 p.m. This homicide occurred inside of a residence, and 4 people were shot, with 1 person losing their life. That was 22-year-old Dante Dudley of Washington, D.C. The other 3 victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and they were all treated at the hospital. They are all from the area. This homicide is under investigation by our homicide detectives. So any details, they would have them, and you're more than welcome to call them if you have any further questions. If anybody does have any information regarding this homicide, we ask that you do call 202-727-9099, and you can give that information to our central information center. Speaking of ROM, I did confirm with DDOT today that they will be replacing one of the poles in the 1100 block of ROM to accommodate the crime camera so that we can move it from 11th place onto ROM, and that should be happening very shortly. And we did get that trailer camera for 19th and Bennett Place Northeast, and we have no plans of moving that camera anytime soon. I did want to mention that with the initial passage of the latest crime legislation, which includes drug-free zones, we were asked to submit a list of areas that we think might benefit from these drug-free zones, and I included ROM, 19th and Bennett, and several other areas as well. I can't guarantee that they'll be granted because obviously the legislation needs to be fully passed, and then once that does, all the areas have to be reviewed, but I did put them up for consideration, and I'll be following along to see how that goes. Overall, Sector 3 in the 5th District is doing pretty good. Our violent crime is down. We've had a few robberies in the last 30 days, but that is way down from where we were this time last year. What I am still tracking is our burglaries. We're still having too many burglaries of commercial establishments. These are usually happening after hours, after the business is closed. They're breaking in and then breaking into the cash register or the ATMs. I have my officers going out and meeting with these businesses to see if there's anything that we can do to update their security protocols, any camera systems that might need updates, kind of seeing what time they close, what their closing protocols, et cetera. And last but not least, the commander wanted me to pass along that if any of you are interested in participating in our package theft decoy program, to either let myself or the commander know. This is basically where we set up a sting operation. We'll leave a fake package on your porch or front area, and we're basically going to sit there and see if anybody tries to steal the package and arrest them. So if that is something you are interested in helping us with, just shoot me an email and let me know. And that goes for anybody in our community.
Perfect. Thank you, Captain.
You're
At this
welcome.
time, I'll ask if any of the public has any questions to drop them in the Q&A function in the Zoom. If you're a senior, you have the privilege to raise your hand and I'll unmute you so you can speak. And for the commissioners to go ahead and ask questions, we'll go down the order to ask these questions to Captain Monahan. As a chair, I just have some quick questions to ask based on the information that you shared on Rom Street and the drug-free zones. In regards to that matter on Rom Street, were those individuals from the neighborhood or were they just from the district?
So the decedent had an address that was not from the neighborhood. However, the other three were from the neighborhood.
Okay. And then in terms of those areas that you have on the list outside of Rom Street and 19th and Bennett Place, do you have any other areas in mind that fall in 5D?
Yeah, so included Starburst Plaza, 1500 block of Maryland, the 800 block of Bladensburg, several blocks along Benning Road. Honestly, I almost covered all of Trinidad and the Benning Road corridor. So basically where I've noticed, especially in the warmer months where people tend to post up in groups, I try to cover those areas. So hopefully we can kind of preemptively stop that from happening.
Clarification for the public, what do these drug-free zones look like at the end of the day once they do become a zone?
Sure. So if it is an established zone for a very limited amount of time, there will basically be a no loitering law in that specific area where officers will have an easier time of approaching and stopping people that they feel are loitering in the area and be able to either move them along or arrest them for being in violation of this drug-free zone.
Got it. 5D02, you have a question?
Yes. First I want to, can you talk about the tags for the cars, the because of the carjackings, and everyone is not qualified to get those tags? I get, what do you call them?
So are you talking about the air tags, the
Air
tracking
tag.
devices? Yeah.
Yes, everyone is not required, doesn't qualify. Can you explain that? And can you explain the sting operation? Because if you're going to lock up somebody for stealing a package, will that put the person that has the is helping you all? Is that putting them in danger? And how much time do they get for stealing a package?
So it depends. Generally package theft, unless it's an item that is very expensive, is going to be a misdemeanor. And yes, we are going to need the cooperation of whoever volunteers to do this because they're going to need to assist in testifying in court and stating that this person did not have permission to take that package off the porch. So obviously, if that's not something that you're comfortable doing, that is completely understandable. But we do need people that are willing to be able to testify and put their names to that statement. For the air tag, basically, in order to qualify for the air tag, you have to be a resident of the 5th district and you have to be the registered owner of the vehicle that you're going to be placing the air tag in. So when you come to the air tag giveaway, and I believe the commander's just waiting to hear when the next one will be, you'll just need to provide ID and the registration to your vehicle, and you should be able to get that air tag. I believe they're giving out both the Apple AirTags and the Tile, and they're basically the same concept. It's a little tracker, and the officer at the giveaway will help you to install it in your vehicle and register it, so that should your vehicle be taken, it can assist us in tracking it.
And that's any resident in Ward 5, because someone said that they were turned away because they weren't. Cobb, you can talk about
Yeah,
that.
I think initially it was limited to certain police service areas. So I don't know if all police service areas are eligible, Captain. I think that's the question that
Yeah, so
Commissioner Rose is getting
it
at.
should be anyone in the 5th district. So any PSA in 5D, not Ward 5, but the 5th district. It's done by police district, not by ward. So if you happen to, live in Ward 6 or 7, then you're going to have to go to the police district that's hosting it in those districts.
And just to add on that, how is it determined where a person lives? Do they have to bring an ID and it has to have an address on within the PSA?
Yeah, they'll have to have an address that is within the 5th district on their identification. And again, the registration for the vehicle that they wish to be tracked.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. 5D06.
Yes, thank you, Captain Monahan. I'm glad to see that you have a number of my recommendations on the list for drug-free zones, and certainly include the 1800 block of I Streets Northeast. I look forward to seeing what the lieutenants for Sector 3, PSA 506 and 507 have when we meet later this week.
Okay, 507.
Captain Monahan, thank you so much. We really do appreciate your leadership. Very, very happy with the camera that you all have installed on Bennett Place. Really means a lot. I just wanted to, it's been a number of requests from constituents about transportation safety, particularly on 19th Street, four-way stops. Cars are coming through and just basically going straight through the four-way stops. Been a couple of instances where seniors have been in the crosswalks almost. And so I wanted to see if you can kind of talk to me about the possibility of having some type of police presence, either morning times during rush hour or in the evenings when the children are getting out of school. But there's been a number of instances where, you know, we've witnessed folks just coming straight through and not stopping at these stop signs.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there what particular intersection on 19th is it?
It's 19th and H Street.
19th and H.
Okay.
No, absolutely. I can have definitely during the day. We have a couple of excellent traffic enforcement officers that would love to write a bunch of tickets. So I will have them head over there in the morning. And then in the evening, I'll see if we can get some officers over there as well. But that's absolutely something we can assist with.
Thank you so much. And then a final thing is we're going to start, I'm working with DPW now, and we've had a lot of illegal dumping of large items in the alleyways. And so I think that someone from DPW is going to be in contact with police because we want to do a walk and try to set up a couple of zones of where we think that we know some of this dumping is taking place from folks that live in the area. But we were going to call on you all for some assistance when we get ready to do that. And I just wanted to ask for your partnership on that whenever we reach out.
Absolutely. Yep. Just let us know when and where, and we'll definitely tag along.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your leadership. Refreshing.
Oh, 5D08. Final question.
Yeah, thank you. Captain Monahan, appreciate you being here. I'll just kind of want to piggyback on Commissioner McCollum. One other thing I think we could use some traffic safety support with is on 17th Street, there are a number of unsignaled pedestrian crossings rather. And I know it's real tough for folks to get across the street there. Cars frequently don't yield. That's another place where I think some targeted enforcement could be really helpful in reminding drivers that they need to yield to pedestrians trying to cross the road.
Yep, no problem. I'll add that to the list.
Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect, Captain. We added your contact information in the Q&A section so people can reach out to you there. Seems like there's a comment from the public. Joey Libera, we had some recent robberies from families picking up children from Sequoia School on Bladensburg. What would the process be to get a police presence during popular drop-off and pickup, particularly 4 to 6?
Sure. We actually did. They must have dropped off from doing that. I'll remind the sergeants that they need to continue doing that. But yeah, we can definitely have a unit over by the Sequoia School during pickup and drop off. I don't know why they discontinued that, but I'll make sure they're reminded to keep doing it.
Perfect. Okay, Captain. Well, it looks like that's all the questions. We appreciate your time. Oh, sorry, one of our seniors has one. Ms. Diggs, you can speak.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm sorry, I'm getting over bronchitis. My voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Captain, I wanted to know, is there going to be a summer crime initiative this year? And if so, will 5D09 be considered as part of it? Because
yes.
in the warm months, we get a lot of people, to use your term, posted up over here on 21st Street between Maryland and M. Thank you.
Yes, there will be a summer crime initiative. What it will look like, I don't know. And they haven't decided the areas yet. Right now, they have the basically the winter crime initiative going on. They've named that Thrive this year, and that is happening in the Rosedale area. They probably won't announce the areas for the summer crime initiative until May. But regardless, it's definitely, that area will definitely be on 5D's radar in terms of giving some special attention. I'm really hoping it will be a summer crime initiative area. But like I said, we won't know until May.
All right, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Captain Monahan, for joining us tonight. If we need to reach you, your email has been shared, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Be safe. With that being said, we'll move forward with the agenda, and we have the mayor's office. We have Mr. Christopher Ingram, our Ward 5 moker, in attendance. Good to see you, Mr. Ingram.
Good to see you as well, Commissioner Cyrus. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, I have a couple updates. Good to see you guys. So, summer camp, they started the enrollment up. It started yesterday, so I know a couple of parents were reaching out last year, trying to get their kids into summer camp. So we got an early enrollment. It's open yesterday. It's closing February 26th. So if you guys have any kids or any families that's been asking you guys about summer camp, cause I know we was getting the same calls last year, asking for summer camp enrollment, and they was having hard times getting their kids in. But this is now's the time to get them enrolled. And for Mocha sweep days, we got sweep days Tuesdays and Fridays. Feel free to give us a call when you guys in the community or you guys have an issue and you want moguls to put eyes on. We out in the field Tuesdays and Fridays, and we could just show up. If you guys out and you have an issue with DPW, feel free to give us a call. You have an issue with housing, feel free to give us a call as well.
Perfect. Are there any questions from the commissioners or the public? Okay, just a quick question, Mr. Ingram. Do you know any events, any upcoming events that might be in this area of the city? I know you guys have been pretty busy with the Lunar New Year Festival and a couple other things that have been popping off downtown. Just wondering if anything is approaching us in Northeast.
Not from my knowledge at the moment, but I can double check that for you.
Okay, perfect. Do any of the commissioners have questions? Okay, with that being said, Mr. Ingram, thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, moving with the agenda, we have our council member's office. We have Mr. Oliver Stout in attendance. Mr. Stout, feel free to take the reign.
Hello, guys. Happy to see you guys this evening. We have a couple of updates from our office in regards to public safety, new legislation, Project Heights, as well as the follow-up with DDOT oversight hearing that took place, and some of the upcoming oversight. So the council unanimously approved the secure DC omnibus legislation for the first vote on Tuesday, February 6th. The second vote will be taking place sometime in March 5th. Several amendments were passed as well, and the council member voted in favor of those amendments. One of the amendments was that to eliminate the expansion of the DNA collection at the time of arrest. The reason for this is because, say if someone, a crime has been committed, or someone says that a crime has been committed, that person would literally, whether they're guilty or not, their DNA will be taken. Their DNA will be collected, and you want to make sure that they are able to, say they'll be able to fight to say that if they didn't do it or not. So if someone accuses someone of something and they didn't do it, their DNA would automatically be collected and put in through through different jurisdictions or whatnot. Another amendment limiting the new provisions around making it unlawful for individuals to wear masks to hide their identity while committing a crime. Another amendment as well was the amendment to accelerate the applicable dates for Second Chance Amendment of Act of 2022, which expands the eligibility for criminal record sealing and expungement. This is a large combining more than, this was a large bill that was combining a number of dozen of pieces of public legislation into one bill, which included several of Councilmember Parker was proud to introduce that would improve operations to our 911 call center, which also would expand the resources for violence interruption and behavioral health programs and provide more public safety for support for businesses and the expansion of the city's popular camera rebate program. As far as another public safety, we're going to have our public safety meeting uh, this February on the 28th from 3 to 4:30. If anybody has any questions about that, you could always reach out to me. We are going to be putting out the guest list soon, shortly once we have that information on who will be on that call. I also lead on that call, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about that. Public safety updates. The MPD already, Monahan already gave us an update on the homicide in Trinidad. Also, there was another situation that happened, I believe, yesterday at the Trinidad Rec. There was also, I guess there was a group of parents that got into an altercation at Trinidad Rec. I actually went to Trinidad Rec earlier today to go to one of the senior events that Salvador was actually talking about. Got to talk to seniors about their concerns. Majority of the concerns were a DPW as well as lighting. So I'm hoping that we can get with the Mocha's office and maybe one of these Tuesdays, take a walk with the seniors just to see, what type of things that we can do to help them, and things that they could point out as far as lighting. I know that a lot of people have said things about lighting. We did have DDOT go out and they conducted an operation where they did enhance um, the the lights there. But like when I was talking to the seniors, when they brought it to my attention, one of them actually mentioned, she said, yeah, they did come out and they did fix the light, but the light went out later on after that. So um, I'm definitely willing to follow up on things like that. Also, there was a indecent exposure in Trinidad where a man was arrested for exposing himself in full view of the public multiple times and on different occasions in front of the same resident. Um, he's being held without bond. There's just there's a loophole in our current laws that would allow this suspect to actually, easily get back onto the streets and do the same thing. Neighbors are actually worried about that. Um, and we're looking to, try to figure out, is there some legislation that we can actually push towards to deter these type of things from happening, as well as um, within that legislation, finding ways to be able to get this person the help that they need. Um, there's the Water is Life Amendment Act of 2024. The council member he wants to put an end to the avoidable and inequitable infliction of human misery that water service disconnections represent. So with Water is Life legislation, the legislation will ensure residential tenants can access their water bill and the utility payment programs that are intended to prevent low-income residents from service interruption. Also, there's Project Pipes. The Project Pipes letter, the DC's goals of being carbon neutral by 2045 will require us to get serious about our carbon emissions. Washington Gas wants to spend over $500 million on replacing the gas pipes instead of repairing them at a fraction of the cost while we work to electrify our buildings across the city. This would have been able to shoulder the rate and is in a contradiction of our carbon neutral goals. So Councilmember Parker signed on to a letter with 9 of his colleagues discouraging the public Service Commission from authorizing this financial request. Also, follow up with DDOT, the DDOT hearing, the oversight hearing. It ran well into the evening hours. Last year, the district saw 17-year high in traffic fatalities. A majority of those fatalities are in wards 5, 7, and 8. The council member Parker, he would join the hearing to continue to press DDOT on their responsibility to build safer traffic infrastructure for all residents, and to ask about delays on the vital project that we've had, one from South Dakota, Taylor Street Northeast, as well as New York Avenue, Bladensburg Road, and Rhode Island Avenue. That's about it that I do have. As far as illegal dumping, we did get a request for illegal dumping. There's a tire dumper. I think this was also on Twitter as well. There's a tire dumper that's going around. Constituents were able to get a picture of that truck and the information provided to us. What we did was escalate that with DPW, which is on their sweep team, and they got in contact with they escalated this up to their environmental crimes unit as well as MPD environmental crimes unit. So they're partnering together to conduct an investigation, and they will be circling back with us to get the findings on that, as well as if you guys see any other illegal dumping things that you would like to bring to our attention, please reach out to me, and then I'll be able to escalate that, and we'll see if we can get MPD and DPW to partner to try to figure out who's doing this and how do we hold them accountable for it.
Great.
Other than that, I think that's it.
A lot of good information there,
Any
Mr.
questions?
Stout. I'll remind the public we have the Q&A for any questions from the public, and if a commissioner has a question, they can raise their hand, and we'll go down the roll from there. As the chair, Mr. Stout, just a quick follow-up. A quick question. I had some residents state that there was a potential incident at KIP this morning. Do you know anything regarding that, or was that like something isolated, just very small and sudden?
Incident at KIP. To my awareness, I do not know of that right now, but I
I
can
think if
try
I'm
to find out.
not this morning, yesterday morning, something about
Oh,
a fight or something like that.
not not sure offhand, but
Okay.
happy to. I know there was issues with parents yesterday, and some of those parents were KIP.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and that came over into the Trinidad Rec Center. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I
The
didn't know
issue
it was
there?
associated to the rec center. My understanding it was
Yeah,
KIP, but it might have been the same parents then.
yeah, yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was there today, and I got to talk to Mr. Sharp. Um, in response to that, they got in contact with Cody and Cure the Streets, and they're gonna have I think even today they had some of the members of Cure the Streets there, as well as personnel at DPR, to be able to be out and make sure that they're monitoring the kids and making sure, that there aren't any, problems that arise from that.
Okay, perfect. Um,
Yep.
Questions from the public and the commissioners, 5D02.
Really quickly, the tire dumper. If
Yep.
if the tires are coming from a business, how it would the business be? How would there be consequences from the business?
Well, I would assume that there'll be fines. So there'll be fines, and that's another reason why DPW is also involved, because there may be other remedies that they can take from there. I'm not sure on how the process goes, but I'm happy to, follow up and give you what I can, ask the right questions and figure out what they're going to be using to make sure they could get to stop this. But apparently he's going all over Trinidad, and he focuses on Trinidad because I believe it's easier for him to do it in our area, 5D area, than anywhere else. So it's always Ivy City, Trinidad, or Carver Langston where he could find places to dump it. So
So this is
they're preying
a
on
male
that
driving a
area.
truck, you said?
I'm not sure if it's a male or a female. I'm not
Oh, okay.
sure, but I would assume it'll be a male, of course. But I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then it'd be. But yeah, I believe it's a male riding a
Oh,
truck and he's dumping everywhere.
Could you
do
send a description of the truck as well?
yeah, I was to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Just so
Yeah,
we can
sure. I can
make residents
yeah.
aware.
As a matter of fact, I can add you guys in on the email, or I
Okay.
could just send it to you. So we can go from there.
You can send it to us. We don't need to be.
Yeah.
I also have the
You're
information. Sorry, I also have the information if you want it.
Yep.
The helpful neighbor who reported it to Oliver and has been started this whole process has looped me in from the beginning.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, this car has been seen dumping in Trinidad, but has also been seen at the Hackinger Mall, has been seen just all around our part of town.
Yep. Exactly.
okay. Well, hopefully we can get more information to the public. Any other? I'm sorry. Was that it, Commissioner Rose? That was it. Okay. 5D06.
Good evening, Mr. Stout. Always good to see you. Thank you for the updates. Regarding the Safety Bill 25-345, I am concerned about the council member voting to remove that provision. And the provision is
Which
not
provision
just
are you speaking of?
the provision, let me finish. It's the provision for taking a blood sample for suspects that are arrested for sexual assault. And, the concerns around just, broad DNA when you're not
You're kind of breaking up.
put in.
I'm not
Can
sure.
you hear me? So now you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you, but
Your
you're
signal is breaking up.
And
I'll
if
continue
you could just repeat.
and try
Yeah, go
best.
ahead.
Yeah, so the provision in 25-345 about taking a blood sample to test for HIV AIDS for suspects that are arrested for sexual assault, that protects, that's a protection for victims, because if there is no blood sample, then the victim has to undergo protocols, exhausting, potentially traumatic protocols, to prevent the possible transmission of HIV. And that's just inappropriate. I'd like the council member to revisit that issue and look at ways that you can balance the protections of a person's DNA while still making sure that victims of sexual assault are not disproportionately burdened by that removal.
Okay. Yeah, I totally understand, and I can definitely take that back up to the council member.
Yes, and I also, regarding the safety improvements in 5D03 that also affect 5D06, DDOT is not adhering to a protocol that is user friendly. They're not supposed to make these recommendations and then just announce, okay, well, you have 10 days to have your constituents weigh in or make any comments. Otherwise, we're moving forward. That's an improper protocol. I addressed that at the performance oversight hearing, and I will continue to address it until it's resolved. And I was certain the council member has been helpful in addressing issues with the DDOT since he's on that committee. So I look forward to him addressing that matter as well. And I'll certainly reach out to you with some additional details later this week.
Commissioner Henderson, what exactly are you talking about in 5D03? Which ones?
I'll reach out to you later this week. But the point is, we share a boundary, and DDOT is not supposed to be just making a broad announcement that we need your input in 10 days or we're just going to move forward. That's improper. And it's very disrespectful to the public and to me as their representative.
Thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, please do let me know.
Mr. Stout, we just have a quick question from the public. Can you please tell us which business this individual is picking up from, even if he's not an employee of the business? It seems he's servicing a local business who are not using more reputable service to dispose of tires. Do we happen to know um, any potential businesses that this person might be coming from?
Are we talking about
The
the
tire
tire?
situation? Yes, sir.
I am not sure what business he's coming from.
Okay.
For all I know, this he could be like, he's a handyman, and he's just picking stuff up. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I
Okay.
can definitely put the picture that we do have in this chat before this meeting is over.
And Commissioner McComb, I didn't see your hand raised. I'm sorry. You have a question?
No, I was raising my hand for time.
Okay, perfect. Don't have any more questions in the Q&A, none from our elders, and those seems to be all from the commission. So with that being said, Mr. Stout, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to
Thank
having
you.
you next month.
Okay.
Perfect. With that being said, we've concluded our standing presentations and moving forward with commission actions. We are 2 minutes over time, so I'll ask for those that are speaking to be mindful of time and mindful of time for questions. With that being said, we have a requested presentation on a BZA matter at 1725 Montello Avenue Northeast. And I know we do have Mr. Sullivan available. If anyone else is joining Mr. Sullivan, they can use the raise your hand feature so I can promote you to panelist.
Commissioner, while you're doing that, I'll just give my usual spiel that because of my day job, I have to recuse myself from all matters concerning zoning and land use. So I'm going to go mic off, camera off, but it doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. It means I'm just not partaking in this part of the meeting, and I will be back for the next part.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, Mr. Sullivan, good to see you. Whenever you're available, you can go ahead and start. You should have share screen capabilities. And if you just want to briefly introduce yourself and what you will be discussing tonight to the public, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. My name is Marty Sullivan, and I'm zoning counsel for the applicant in this BZA case. BZA case, I don't know, let me see, I'm not sure what the number is here. Get that in a second. 21061 for 1725 Montello Avenue. I don't know why my screen went fuzzy. So I will present plans. Also with us is Boyan Piofsky. He's with the owner of the property. He is a principal in the ownership entity, and he's here to answer any questions as well. I want to note that we did sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera. It's fuzzy. We requested postponement of the BZA hearing today. We were scheduled for March 6th, which would have been before your March 12th meeting. So we did request postponement to March 20th or a later date, whatever is the next available date. So we understand that we may not get a vote today and just can work on some issues and happy to present and get some feedback. And then we'll be able to come back next month if the commission suggests. So with that, I'll share my screen and so the relief requested is it's a special exception for parking. It's a landlocked property. There's no rear alley, and it's only 30 feet wide in the front, so there's no ability to put any parking spaces on it. Current proposal is to build a multifamily building with 17 units. There's the property here, this building here, 1725 Montello. There's the front of the building. It's this building with the deli, not the building to the right. More photos, and this is the rear of the property here, where you see that dumpster there. That's across the street. So I can get to the plans. This is a rendering of the proposed building. This is the MU4 zones, and it's an IZ project, so this will be 3.0 FAR and 75% lot occupancy. These are floor plans, and here's a site plan. I also have a plat too. Let me see, I'm trying to zoom in on that, and I can't. So let me go to the plat after. I can go to the plat to show the site plan better. These are the elevations, side elevation. There's a court in the middle for windows. Here's a plat showing the layout. So the relief requested again is a special exception, and the criteria for approval of the special exception is whether the configuration of the property makes it difficult or impossible to provide parking, and we have that in this case. It's too narrow to bring parking in the front or to get a curb cut there, and there's no access in the back because there's no rear alley. We did. There's been I've had some communications with the chair about possibly reducing the number of units as well. So if that's something the commission is interested in, we're certainly open to that suggestion as well. So I think that's it for my presentation. If I'm sure there's questions, comments, and again, Boyan is here with us as well, the property owner.
Thanks, Marty. If we have questions from the public, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. If you're one of our grand seniors, feel free to use the raise your hand function so we can unmute you so you can speak. Commissioners, of course, you're welcome to questions. I'll do the roll call for that one. As the commissioner for this single member district where this project is going to be, I just have some brief questions before I open up to the commission. So this project is being proposed to be placed on top of not in on top of, but replacing Montello's Deli. I know it's a staple here in our end of the neighborhood. My comments or questions are not really towards losing the deli, but just recognizing that area specifically is entangled with a lot of situations and problems. Now, my first question from the public was, how come you can't place parking spaces in the back of the building when the alley is consistently used for car traffic? Did you hear me,
So I
Marty?
don't know. Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if Boyan's on or not. I don't know what questions he wants to answer. I'm going to answer, but there's no access. That's a private property, so there's no alley back there.
So I guess to clarify, you're saying the car traffic behind there is illegal, technically? I think that was the question from the block. How come you can't place parking spots there when cars always use the space back there, let alone I'm assuming you'll have, trash pickup, and I think there is I saw trash collection this morning using that alley. So is there something that we need to get clarified by DDOT in terms of use of that space, or yeah.
I don't know. It's a private property. I don't know if they allow if that property owner allows people to use it or not. So I couldn't say whether it's illegal or not. I just know it's not public space.
How is trash?
We've given the owner the opportunity to speak as well.
Yes, hi. This is Boyan. So like Mr. Sullivan pointed out, so it is a private property at 1211 Mount Olivet Road, and we did try to reach out via phone and also via mail to the property owners and see if there might be options for some sort of an easement. We haven't heard back yet. We'll continue to do so, but it's not public space, and as far as folk just using that space as sort of public space, I think it's I guess technically illegal. I mean, I suppose it's maybe illegal is a strong word, but I guess it's because that space is a commercial space and people kind of come and go, right? People sort of, shop and so forth. And I think that because of that context, I think people just sort of don't pay attention, I think, to the traffic because it's a commercial space. But it is completely private space and not in public space in any way. It's not an alley of any sort. It's that entire rectangle from Mount Olivet to Sims, and it's entirely private property belonging to 1211 Mount Olivet.
How are you planning on doing trash collection then for this building if that's private property?
So trash collection will be done through the building. So we plan on there's a corridor that goes from the back to the front of the property on the first floor. There's private trash pickup companies that would basically, we'll have an arrangement with them. They go through the building, essentially pick up trash, and they get it through the building and through the front. And this is not unusual. Obviously, there's a lot of cases like this where properties landlocked, right, in DC, and so they offer this as part of their service, and so we won't be using public pickup, especially with a number of units, right? So we use a private pickup company, and they offer that service as an additional cost, obviously, but they can handle that.
And all your trash receptacles will be inside the building and remain inside.
Of course, they'll be in the back and they'll be completely enclosed. Yes. So we'll have an enclosure probably made out of like wood or fencing. So all the trash cans will be enclosed in the back and fully secured.
Are you the owner of the property right now?
I'm not the sole owner, but I'm part of the entity, right, that owns it.
So what lease do you have with Montello Deli?
So their lease expires through the end of this year.
Okay. So technically the property is not vacant.
It's not.
Got it. And if your project doesn't proceed, would you continue to lease to Montello Deli?
We haven't considered that.
It's
I have not.
It's like a staple in our neighborhood. So those were main
Yeah,
questions that I had from neighbors actually
sure.
living on that block.
Sure. And I've had in the past conversation. I haven't I talked to Mr. Hong recently that runs the deli, but their intention was so we have no discussion of extending the lease, and they have expressed no interest of staying there. And it's certainly a discussion to have between now and I guess the next meeting and kind of get a clarification on that. But we actually took over the lease, so there's an existing lease prior to that, and there hasn't been any interest from Mr. Hong's side to extend the lease.
I'm sure
But
the
it's
conversation probably
yeah,
hasn't been had. It's only February. I'm just curious if
yeah.
there's been any interest.
There hasn't been interest on their part, and certainly I'll reach out this week and find out a bit more. But the lease expires in December.
Okay. And then a final question, just the court. Can you clarify that courtyard that y'all want to place in the middle of the building, in terms of what that how that would impact the property next door or the boundary lines of property for anything that might be built in the future? Would this design be impacted?
It wouldn't. So the property, so the both sides of the property are within the property boundaries, right? So within the property lines. The courtyard now is facing the property to the north. So this would be 1201 Mount Olivet, which is also a commercial area. So it'll be facing that side of the property. I mean, that side of the block, not south, right? Not facing the apartment buildings. If somebody chooses to build right against it in the future, I mean, I guess that would be fine as well. But we're not. It's everything is within the property boundaries. So that's why the exception is only related to parking, and there's no other exceptions that we're requesting. And the courtyard is strictly for really just to kind of make the space more livable, right? Get more windows and more lighting. So it's not an end unit, right? So that's one way to do this, and there's enough space on the lot itself that we're able to squeeze the courtyard, and I think just makes makes things obviously more livable, more light and so forth. And right now there's nothing next door that's being built. So if it stays that way, obviously there'll be plenty of light coming in. But as far as somebody, again, chooses to build something next door in the future, it really doesn't really change much except for maybe impact some of the lighting and so forth. But it's
Well, I think that's a major impact because that's the reason why you put the courtyard in there. So it's not a
it is,
it's
but
not a
it's outside of our control, though, right? I mean, we don't know when, I think that, I'm assuming that space is a long-term lease at 1201. So it's hard to answer that question because we just don't know what the plans would be. Also, that property is open on two sides, right? So there's definitely more opportunity on their end to design something that would actually have a side yard setback, right, facing our property, right? So, but that's something that I think would be something that would be maybe in a discussion with the future owner if that comes up within the next couple of years, right? That there's no intention to develop the property next door that I'm aware of, but it's certainly something that needs to be maybe a collaborative conversation, right? That if they were to do a side yard, right, that would obviously maintain kind of that integrity of the courtyard as far as lighting is concerned. But it's kind of hard to answer the question because we don't know what the future plan is next door. But as far as our project is concerned, it's a standalone and it's kind of standalone feature and doesn't really depend on any of the neighboring properties, if that makes sense.
Okay, so if in the future a developer wants to develop a property there and it's blocking out that line of sight for your lighting to come in, you're saying you have no issue with that?
I mean, I think it would, I mean, again, depending on the proposal and the plans, it may have a minor impact or a larger impact, right? Again, if they
Because in
chose to
that court that you're
Yeah.
designing it's not,
Yeah.
if you look at the surrounding buildings that have been propped up there
Mhm.
and popped up,
Mhm.
no one does what you're trying to do in this design.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering, in the future, is this going to be an issue?
I mean, I don't see it an issue except for maybe the degree, again, depending on the design next door, and we're probably, I mean, talking about probably, way down the road, but depending on their design, right, and how they chose to place the building next door, it'll have a smaller, greater impact, right? So it's a little bit difficult to speak in terms of without having more specifics, right? Or what the intentions would be to do next door. But I think, I mean, that courtyard it's a substantial size, so it's even with the building next door, you're going to get a good amount of lighting, right? So in this case, it's almost like a semi-open court, right? If there's a building right next to it, it'll be essentially like a closed court, but it's substantial size, right? So I don't have the dimensions in front of me, but this is about 25 by 15, I believe. So it's pretty substantial. What you would get enough light even with the building next door, and like I said, we chose to go with design to get more light and take advantage of as much as we can. And I think we probably would have done this design even if there's a building next door because you still get quite a bit of light, and it's better to have some light right to the bedrooms and the living rooms than no light at all, right? So I think that's how we're looking at this, and I think, but as far as the more specifics of the impact of a future building, it really depends on the design, and hopefully the future owner will reach out to us and work with us on that as well, right? So
Okay, I have some more questions, but I'll wait for the commissioners to ask them. Go ahead, Commissioner McCollum, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for being here, Mr. Bohan. First of all, is it possible that you can come on camera to talk to us?
how do I enable that? Let me see.
While you figure out about enabling it, because we would like to see the individuals who come to speak before us. Are you an owner or part owner of a property that's on 19th Street, a development that's taking place on 19th Street?
Yes.
Northeast? Okay, have you had any
Yes.
stop work orders at that property?
Not since last year. We did have one, yes.
No. It's just a question. Have you had any stop work orders at that property?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that you have reached out to some of the property owners over in the area regarding this design. And you said that you've not heard back from anyone by phone and by I guess, by some type of written correspondence. Can you provide the commissioners with a copy of whatever written correspondence you used to reach out to those individuals there? Are you there?
I think
I'm muted. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry
Thank you
about
so
that.
much.
Yeah, I think the camera should be working now. Yeah.
We can see you. Thank you. I think I was at the point. So you did tell us that you have had a stop work order at your development that's on 19th Street. I was asking now, you mentioned that you had reached out to neighbors there regarding this development by phone and by written communications. I wanted to know if you could provide the commissioners with a copy of whatever written communication you've used to reach out to those individuals who live in the area.
Sure. Yeah, we can provide that via email.
Okay, and you said for this design, there will be no parking in the area.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and then finally, just for me to wrap up, you said that the trash pickup would be by a private entity, and there is some type of pickup plan and a private company that you all will use. Could you provide the commission, along with that individual correspondence you use, could you provide us with a copy of that trash pickup plan and whatever company you propose that you may use for this particular property?
Sure. We can get something in writing.
All right. For me, I'm not gonna support this measure. I believe that your property that you have on 19th Street, there were some issues, some major issues with that development. So when I saw your name, I definitely wanted to ask some of these questions. Most of the questions that I pointed out are some of the things that were problematic with the property on 19th Street. And so before I would be able to give some support to an individual who's coming, wanting to put another development in our ward and in our SMD, I'm going to ask that we definitely give this a close look, because what we don't want to do is have serial developers who are going across our SMDs and our city and developing properties with total disregard to those individuals who live there. And I do know on 19th Street that you started out very rocky in the area, and there were some very big problems there. So I'm going to ask that I'd say within 48 hours, if you would, please get us that letter that you used to reach out to those correspondents, and also that trash pickup plan and the company that you do see that you all will use. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Commissioner May, you had your hand raised.
I do. Thank you. First, Commissioner McCollum, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the details of that 19th Street project with us before we vote on this, I think that'd be great. I want to ask a couple of separate questions. I may have missed this, Marty, so I apologize, but could you just remind us the number of parking spots that would normally be required that you're looking for relief from?
Yes, currently it's 4 spaces would be required for 17 units.
4 spaces. Okay, great. Thank you. And then could you also just, regarding the units themselves, again, I'm so sorry if I missed this, but are they for lease or for sale? And then could you also tell us a little bit about the breakdown, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 3-bedroom studio, what we're looking at there?
Boyan, you want to take that? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So these are set up as they'll be set up as rentals or apartment units. And so currently it's 17 units, and again, there's flexibility that we may combine some units or decrease some units if that helps. And currently it's a mix of 9 1-bedrooms and 8 2-bedrooms.
Okay. Do you have any sense, that's helpful. Do you have any sense of the rental rate that you'd be charging?
I mean, it's going to be either subsidized rents or market rents. So we'll just have to use those guidelines basically.
So is
Yeah, and you'll have to excuse my ignorance. I'm just not sure. Is there a requirement for a building this size that you have a certain number of subsidized or IZ units?
IZ, currently the plan is there's one 2-bedroom IZ unit. So that's already part of the plan. There's one 2-bedroom that meets the requirement.
Okay, and is that the baseline requirement that you're required to have for a building this size?
It depends. It depends on the kind of the way that the math sort of shakes out. In this particular case, it's a it just based on the square footage of the building. It one of the larger two-bedroom units basically meets the requirement.
Okay. So you could probably alternatively choose two smaller one-bedroom units as an example. So what you're saying is it's a choice based on square footage.
I think we haven't looked at that option, but yeah, what two one bedrooms? I'm assuming if of the right if it meets the size requirement, it should work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of that. For now, those are my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Arbuckle, you had your hand raised.
Hello. First of all, I know that you all weren't asking, you all, I saw in an email and on the website, zoning website, that you all didn't want to have a vote tonight, or that you were wanting to postpone the vote. Just want to confirm that.
So we had some discussions with Commissioner Sosita Guzman, and he requested a postponement because he thought that it would take more than one meeting, I think was the reason. And then we were also considering the possibility, if there were changes to come about, that we wouldn't be able to pull that off before March 6th anyway. So yeah, so we requested postponement today.
All right, that's what I thought. I have a question about the just the way that you laid it out. So what led you to choose to make the whole thing residential instead of having a like a commercial use on the first floor like there is currently?
We've I think it's a kind of a I guess a approach. I guess our experience is residential, and that's what we develop. So we've never done the commercial space. We're not familiar with commercial space, and the requirements obviously would be different. Would affect the seller level as well and so forth. So this is just the sort of in our domain, if you speak. So we went with an apartment building.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, well, I guess just following up with that, it doesn't seem that we have too much interaction from you all with the community in terms of some of these locations around the property, let alone knowing how the block is. If you were here at the beginning of the meeting, we discussed a lot of activity in the 100 feet range of this property that you have, um, sir, and it doesn't seem that it's feasible to place 17 units on that block and not include any parking. What's occurring in northern Trinidad and 5D05, and specifically on that part of Montello, we're having a lot of folks move into that area that are not familiar with the neighborhood and not familiar with the District of Columbia. And what's happening is when they're coming into specifically one of the trenches of crime and issues that we face in 5D, um, their capacity their capacity to handle that level of fear and unsafety is very, very minimal compared to a lot of the natives that live on that block that use Montelli on a regular. So it to me as a commissioner, it seems unsafe and unpractical to not place parking spaces in this building for those kind of folks that need that extra sense of security to secure their vehicle, that extra sense of security to be able to leave their vehicle and go to their home. The captain just talked about a homicide not 100 feet away from there. That's on a regular basis, and sadly, you have it on both sides, on Mount Olivet and on Rom. So as a commissioner at this point in time, I can't support this project due to the lack of parking because I'm thinking about those folks that you're probably going to place in those units that can afford the $2,200 that you're going to rent them out for. They need that extra sense of protection and safety. So if you all can come back to us with maybe a drawing plans with 2 parking spots, 4 parking spots, something that shows us that you do care about the future impact that this building will have, I think that we can definitely work on it. But from the information that you provided right now, I do appreciate everything. You did give some better understanding of the area. I know in the original project plans that I received, it seemed that it didn't include some of the buildings or structures around what you're proposing. But with tonight's meeting, I think we got some clarity on some of these issues. That's where I'm coming from as the ANC commissioner for this single member district where the property is. I think it'll be better that you do include parking spaces, and if you can work with the surrounding uh, businesses or property owners to make that happen, I think you would have a better project. But just to place 17 units there, I know folks are going to be using parking. There seems to be some availability of parking there, so it's not going to be too much of a strain, especially with the next neighboring property next to this. It's a returning citizens shelter. So typically all those men don't have any vehicles. The ones that have vehicles are the staff that work at that shelter. So they never had issues with needing parking because the personnel they were attracting were just did not own vehicles. But just thinking in the future what this property will do to that block, I think it will be necessary that you do have some parking spaces for those folks that again just need that extra sense of security due to the high level of crime and unsafety that that block deals with on the regular. It's not going to change overnight. I tell my residents that all the time. This is a growing problem that we're fixing at the best levels that we can, working with MPD and community members. But I think at the end of the day, it would be better that we see parking available there. If you can't make that work, I think if you make it more available to folks that live on the block in terms of IZ availability or that kind of nature, I think we can work on it. But as of right now, I'm happy that you all presented to us. I look forward to seeing some future renditions of something else. Did you have any questions for us, or were there any final questions from the commission?
I would just make comment that so there's nowhere to provide parking on site. That's impossible. And we'll certainly look to see if we can get parking off site. Because but if we got parking off site within 600 feet, we wouldn't be here then. Because then we would be a matter of right. But then that doesn't seem to solve the problem because they're still parking off site and walking to that location. Also, and this is just a observation I'm making. I don't even know what it means, but I did a case a couple of weeks ago in Georgetown where we're negotiating a change in a non-conforming use, and they absolutely did not want retail, despite how important it is to have retail there. No retail because it draws crime, and it seems like I don't know. It's frustrating. Like, let's fix crime. And then we can do what we need to do, like provide housing, but not provide housing, which might help the crime situation because there's a requirement of 4 spaces because 13 of those units aren't going to have parking and 4 would. I don't know. It seems like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, I
I
think.
appreciate you sharing that, but I counted and checked online. There's 13 different units available for rent in that 250-foot radius. Whether you look on Craigslist, whether you look on Facebook Marketplace, whether you look at rent.com, there is housing available there, but people aren't renting there because it's so dangerous. So knowing that this kind of project typically attracts folks that are sadly become victims of this crime, I just want to make sure that they're safe at the end of the day. If you're bringing in different type of folks into the neighborhood, I want to make sure that they're safe. You know, a lot of property owners, a lot of developers, they do their work, they do their due diligence, they provide the building, and then they go off to the next neighborhood or the next project, right? We're the ones that stay here at the end of the day. So sadly, a lot of these folks that are not accustomed to the neighborhood or accustomed to the city, they tend to be victims of crimes at higher rates than DC natives. So I'm just thinking ahead that most likely, yes, it would be beautiful if we could get parking. I understand it's landlocked. I understand that you're saying it's a private alley in the back. But even if there's maybe some workaround on less units, is just less potential for crime coming from this property. It will be safer for the neighborhood. But let's work on it. Let's make an ongoing
Well, if I
conversation.
could, we have less units is a possibility for sure.
Mhm.
So, because I've talked to Boyan about it, and so, but we'd still need some relief. Like,
Right, right.
we need relief for like 2 spaces instead of 4. So if that's a meaningful change for the commission, we could definitely work on that. We can follow up with you after this meeting as well.
Okay. Well, because we're pressed on time, I'll let you go, Marty, but would love to see those plans. I'm a big supporter when we have plans. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner. I thought you were raising your hand because we're on time.
No, well, that too, but I do want to follow up. I just want to say, just in the time that I've been sitting here, because I am not going to leave this meeting and this presentation without being very clear where I stand on this, because I've had so many issues with this owner and with this developer. I've went and pulled up emails, and I would just tell you from 2019, 2018, there has been an issue with this particular owner in the city with the Department of Buildings, formerly DCRA. Right now, 1826 20th Street has been one of the thorns in all of our sides. This building was one of the largest buildings that was built in our SMD. It has caught a fire. It has been in Superior Court. There has been a default judgment. There's still a judgment out there on this building, and this building is still in our area. It has not been brought down. It's basically a dilapidated shell that's standing here. This is unacceptable. I want to move on from there and say that 1845 19th Street, 1 block over, that's another building. Stop work orders, rebarring issues in the very beginning, continuing to work outside of a stop order. That's another problem. Moving on from there, 1216 I Street Northeast, 2244 Ontario Northwest. They're opening up all of these different LLCs and different names so you cannot catch on to what's happening. We will be doing ourselves an injustice if we allow this to go on over in that area when we have not fixed the problems with some of these developments that's taking place now. So what I'm going to say, I don't care if they come back next week or whenever they come back, I am not going to support this. And I'm going to ask my constituents to be at the next meeting to voice their concerns. Mr. Bowen knows very well who Ian Moss is. Ian Moss has been a constituent of mine from the very beginning, and these two individuals have not even been able to come to grounds on being next door neighbors and having so many issues. They built over onto his property. There's been homeless folks in the development. Like I said, it caught a fire. There's just been so much. And y'all, if we are to support something like this, when we see what the track record is, then we're not doing our constituents a good form of service. And so I didn't want them to leave with us saying, we're glad that you came and presented. We want you to come back. No, I'm not glad that they presented tonight. And I don't look forward to them coming back again. And the next time that they come back, I am going to ask that some of my constituents that are living around these developments, they be here to voice their concerns so that we will not support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCollum. Marty, just before I let you go, with that homework piece, can we get better renditions on your plans in terms of the buildings that are currently there so we can kind of differentiate the height differences? I would, and especially on that, the property line affecting that courtyard that you all have, just so we're clear on what we expect as commissioners in the future if that becomes an issue. But just so you know, Mr. Bohan and Marty, we do have our committee of a whole meeting on February, 2 weeks from now, February 27th. I'll invite you to that to see if we have any updated plans or things of that nature to discuss. But you can always reach me. You know how to reach me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have a good
Thank
night. Okay, so we're postponing that to our next ANC meeting. With that being said, we're moving forward with consent calendar items. Again, these consent calendar items were discussed at the last meeting where ANC 5D held quorum. We voted to add these as consent calendar items to approve them amongst the commission. These items were web linked within our agenda 7 days in advance of tonight's ANC meeting for the public to review. You had an opportunity to ask your commissioner or the commissioners that presented the letters or resolutions any questions. With that being said, the consent calendar items were approved as agenda items at the beginning of this meeting. And I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent calendar items as served to the public 7 days in advance of tonight's meeting. Can I get a second on this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rhodes. Sorry, getting this situated. Second by Commissioner Rhodes. All in favor of the consent calendar items presented to the public, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
Opposed?
And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. With that being said, the ayes have it. Move forward. Those consent calendar items were approved and adopted. Okay, we're a little bit behind on time. And we have voting action items. The first action item on tonight's agenda is a bylaw amendment presented by me in terms of our virtual meetings. If you had the opportunity to view this in advance of tonight's meeting, you will know that the bylaw amendments are addressing meeting guidelines. This amendment would be section 509. The amendment is during the committee of a whole meeting or a public meeting, commissioners shall designate by vote on the format of the upcoming monthly public meeting. And for clarification purposes, so the public is aware, our former Secretary Commissioner May, can you clarify what we did in October in terms of these virtual meetings today?
Yeah, in October we had voted at the time that we would proceed with meeting virtually until we were no longer permitted to do so or made a change in plan.
Correct. And this amendment is just adding a bylaw amendment in the bylaws that we will be permitted to hold a vote to determine how a monthly public meeting will be held in terms of virtual or in person. Also on section 509 under meeting guidelines, adding that all attendees and panelists will be muted during a virtual meeting in order to provide the best audio quality and virtual experience to the public. Attendees and panelists shall be unmuted to speak based on adopted agenda and parliamentary procedure. This means that in the time when you are not speaking and you are on this meeting, you will be muted. But when you are given the opportunity to speak, you will be unmuted based on what we adopted at the beginning of the meeting, our agenda, or parliamentary procedure during discussion. So those are the meeting guideline additions that I'd like to add to the bylaws. I'll open it up for discussion from the commissioners if there's any questions or any questions from the public. Commissioner Henderson?
The proposed amendment is improper. First of all, the committee of the whole provisions they're not the same as the public meeting provisions. And muting someone is inappropriate because you have difficulty navigating Zoom or WebEx to get the required voice quality. It is not it's not appropriate to adversely affect the public. Additionally, there seems to be a disregard by some members of this committee. And most troubling, I only see this as a problem with the chairperson, who seems not to understand that you should not be talking over people. And I'm glad Mr. Commissioner McCollum, provided at my request an update regarding parliamentary procedures. If someone is going over time, you're supposed to, gently intervene and not be rude, abrasive, and inappropriate. So we have to learn basic decorum. And as adults, we shouldn't have to, I shouldn't have to admonish anyone, particularly a chairperson who was given a vote of trust by other members, not myself, but by other members of this commission to properly facilitate our meeting. So that whole matter is improper. I'm going to reach out again to the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, particularly the General Counsel, who's been very helpful to help this commission get on track. We have 2 attorneys on this commission, but I don't know why the chairperson is not utilizing their services. I don't know what the communication is, and I'm not really going to speculate. I will reach out to Ms. Wichter and Mr. Director Bass regarding this because I believe it's improper and I will certainly be voting against it.
Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Okay, with that being said, I'll put a motion on the floor for a vote. I'm that we approve the bylaw amendments as presented to the public 7 days in advance of this meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rhodes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay.
Opposed.
And any
I'm
abstentions?
also opposed.
Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
We have 2 nays and 1 abstention. What's the vote on that, Commissioner McCollum?
It's 6-1 in favor.
Got it. So the ayes have it. Motion carries. We'll add that to our bylaws. Okay, next item on the agenda is a proposal for hiring support staff. If you had the opportunity to look at this, it was a general advisory to the public that ANC 5D is interested in hiring 1 administrative personnel based on the duties outlined in this proposal and based on the preferred requirements and skills outlined here. I'll go ahead and share screen so people can look at this. Okay, sorry, I'm having some audio. Zoom, share screen. Here we go. Okay, so for folks that didn't get a chance to view this document, this is pretty much stating the need for having an administrative personnel in order to properly manage the needs of ANC 5D. An administrative staff is needed to support the commissioners in fulfilling their duties and requirements to the public. An administrative assistant is a supportive role in an office at the request of the commissioner, commissioners. They are responsible for managing and distributing information among government officials, answering phones, and doing other administrative work that may be asked of them. So below is a list that we discussed at our last COW meeting in terms of what an administrative personnel would look like, handling administrative requests and queries from ANC commissioners, organizing and scheduling hearings with admin software, planning meetings and taking detailed minutes, write and distribute email, correspondence memos, letter, faxes, and forms, assist in the preparation of regularly scheduled reports, develop and maintain a filing system, update and maintain office policies and procedures, maintain contact lists, manage office phone, reconcile reports with the treasurer, and management of the 5D website. Below is a list of preferred requirements and skills. Preferred resident of District of Columbia within Ward 5 residency being a plus. Proven experience as administrative assistant, virtual assistant, or office admin assistant. Knowledge of website management in MailChimp, that's a big one. Working knowledge of office equipment like printers and fax machines, proficiency in Microsoft Office, excellent time management skills and ability to prioritize work, excellent written and verbal communication skills, strong organizational skills with ability to multitask, and a high school degree additional qualification for administrative assistant or secretary will be a plus. Here it says ANC 5D holds this staff position open to the public for 90 days with a going rate of $27 an hour and a payment maxing out at $750 a month. ANC 5D will vote at every public meeting to approve the payment of the administrative personnel and pay via the ANC 5D checking account. The administrative position will report to the ANC 5D chair and will be equally available to all ANC commissioners. So that was the proposal that I placed on the table. As ANC commissioners, a majority of us have 9 to 5s, other jobs outside of our role as an ANC commissioner. And I believe that an administrative staff, such as that is used at other commissions, will be very beneficial and helpful for the ANC to be able to commit to other projects outside of it, basic administrative needs that sometimes the ANC places on us. So with that being said, I'll open up the questions to the public using the Q&A feature or the raise your hand function to ask a question directly, and also open the questions to commissioners based on our roll call. Okay, Commissioner Arbuckle.
I think Commissioner Henderson raised her hand first.
Oh, you're 01.
Okay. My question is, Did we have one of these before? I remember hearing about payments for that for such an instance before. Did we have them before, and what did they do?
We only had an intern. We didn't have an administrative staff, and that
Okay.
intern was provided by the Office of the Advisory Neighborhood Commission. And we as a commission decided to pay the intern instead of having them work for free. So that intern assisted a lot with our minutes and file organization. Yeah, she was a great intern.
And what kind of, so like, would it be for like all commissioners would be able to like ask for help with things, or how would like the commissioners interface with this assistant?
Yeah, so they would go through the chair and all commissioners have equal access to get assistance based on what we hired them for.
All right, thanks.
Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, Commissioner Arbuckle raised a very good point. This proposal is incomplete and it needs more work. There is no language in there that defines how the person is to be supervised, the day-to-day protocols, what the process is for interfacing and with all commissioners to give all commissioners equal access through the chair. And I really we really need to make sure that we get this right. The chair has not demonstrated an ability to fairly conduct these meetings without animus, and certainly we need an employee proposal that is clear, specific, respectful, and that provides equal access to all commissioners. So I think there needs to be more work, and I don't think anyone should be voting to approve this until that work is done.
What would you propose, Commissioner Henderson, that outside of what's already placed directly on the letter?
I think you need to go back to the table and add the concerns that I've addressed here, and then come back with a document for our, again, I'm talking, don't interrupt.
Continue.
Thank you, without interruption. I think you should go back, take the concerns you've heard from myself, Commissioner Arbuckle, and I suspect that other commissioners may have, but they will speak for themselves. And you come up with something that is appropriate, or you can send out the document to all of the commissioners for the opportunity to edit, which you did not do.
Clarify for the public, the document was sent to all the commissioners. I am not responsible if you have failed to read the document, review the document, look at the document. That is based on the commissioner's duties to the public, based on what they.
Oh, I read the document. It's deficient.
Can I speak without being interrupted? Thank you. The language is clear that the staff would be sent, it says here, the administrative position will report to the ANC 5D chair and will be equally available to all ANC commissioners. If you believe that there's something missing in that language, feel free to send an email, propose something, but to say that it's not there, it's false. Commissioner Cobb, you had a question?
No, just wanted to voice my support for this. Obviously, this involves outlaying funds, and so as a treasurer, I just wanted to say I think that this is a wise use of our funds. As the proposal says, it's capped at $750 a month, which comes out to $5,252. Well, let's say if they started in June, 90 days for leaving the period open, then take them some time to select a candidate and hire them. So at most, a little over $5,000 split between the end of this fiscal year and the beginning of next fiscal year. So I think that's a wise use of our funds. And one task that could be good for them is finding if there's any way to get cheaper internet in our office. And if they can save us a few $100, then the position would almost pay for itself.
Thank you, Commissioner. Friendly reminder to the public, again, this is a proposal to put a job posting out there to the public in terms of the logistics of management of this personnel. That will be further hashed out with the commission within the 90 days that we look to hire someone. Commissioner Henderson, you had your hand raised again.
Yes, I read the document. It's deficient. I would suggest that you go back, rewrite it, with the guidance of the comments that you've heard here and come back with something that we can support. The commission has misappropriated approximately $85,000 in commission funds. We have a treasurer who is an attorney who says he has difficulty understanding grant guidelines, and there may have been some confusion. So I think it is incumbent upon this commission to get it right. Everyone needs to have some input into making sure that this document is legal, appropriate, and that all commissioners have access. The way the commission has been operating is just really shameful. These are public dollars. And if it means going back and taking a bit of extra time to do your due diligence, that is what I would suggest.
You had a comment, Commissioner Cobb?
Yeah, just that I might be a lawyer, but I'm not a grant lawyer. There are many kinds of lawyers out there, and that is not what I do. In addition, I advise that you be careful with the use of misappropriating $85,000 of funds, especially when you point it at me, because that gets a little close to defamation. And I know you've had issues with that in the past.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobb. With that being said, I know one of our commissioners likes to accuse the commission of whatever she feels is, can be accused of. The $85,000, again, we addressed at the beginning of the year. No one, DC government, has found anything that, the statements are true. Typically, these statements, again, are false of Commissioner Henderson. Just, I can't control what Commissioner Henderson says about our commission. It's typical of her to make these false accusations. That's all I can say about that. So just, we're going to continue moving forward, since that has nothing to do with the proposal to hire someone to help ANC 5D do our due diligence, do our administrative tasks, so ANC commissioners can better directly help the residents of ANC 5D. That's all this proposal is for, to have someone to help us with administrative needs. If a commissioner needed to find any revisions on this proposal to hire someone, I wish they would have just did their due diligence and looked at the agenda and looked at that proposal instead of the night of, and use up time. So to use time more wisely, I'll put the motion on the floor for us to go ahead and move forward with this proposal. I move that we approve this proposal to hire one administrative personnel in ANC 5D. Can I get a second for this proposal?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roblin. All in favor, say aye.
Discussion.
It's 9:09. We'll hold a 3-minute discussion.
Before we have a discussion, please, Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Blackney, I think you second. Could you please come on camera for any voting matter? Thank you.
Timer starts.
We have a 3-minute discussion period now.
Oh, thank you. Am I recognized?
Floor is open to you.
Okay, so yes, I don't need 3 minutes. So just in response to Commissioner Cobb's comment about defamation, yes, I have had some interaction regarding a false defamation matter, and I can share with you that those persons responsible for that false defamation action are being held accountable, including the attorney who is in the process of being disbarred. So the DC auditor says something different. I'm saying again that the commission has misappropriated approximately $85,000. It's already been sustained by the DC auditor in her emails, which I have, and I printed hard copies. So I feel very confident that what I say is true. And I'm looking forward to the audit that was supposed to be completed in January. So if you want to, get ready for a fight, I'm ready.
Commissioner Cobb, would you have any type of rebuttal to that?
Yeah, she's lying. That's all I got.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
that sounds really mature. That sounds like you're incompetent.
All right, folks, let's keep this to professional if we can. Is there any discussion about this?
Yeah, I'll just offer a
No.
point of order. I'll just offer a point of order that the funds we're talking about were not, they had nothing to do with the currently elected commission. We're talking about a period that concluded with the last elected commission. And we all know that there were some allotments withheld because of expenses that were deemed not allowable. But none of that has happened since this group was sworn into office in January 2023. So I think just seems like time to move on from this.
Thank you. We're trying.
Any more discussion on this matter? We have about 50 seconds remaining.
I'd just like to add one thing I would like to see the administrative personnel to do is hold an inquiry of all the items that we currently own as a commission that have been purchased with taxpayer dollars. There have been accusations of former commissioners, well, not former, they're current right now, but past commissioners in the past that have stolen items from ANC 5D. So hopefully having an administrative personnel that could be neutral in monitoring and managing a log of these items could help prevent any further theft in the future, since commissioners have been accused of that in the past. We haven't had any of those situations occur during this commission, which is great. We've had a couple break-ins in our community room with the last commission and this current commission, but hopefully, again, this role can be used to properly use taxpayer dollars to move this commission forward in more ways than one. So
That's our
hopefully,
time.
thank you. So motion was on the floor by me, second by Commissioner, was that Rhodes?
Vote.
Got it, Commissioner Rhodes.
Me.
Oh, Commissioner Roblin. Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay.
Opposed.
And any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay, one abstention, one opposition. The ayes have it. The proposal moves forward. We'll go ahead and put this proposal on our ANC website, and we'll also make sure to email it to the public. If you happen to know someone that is looking for some part-time work and great in website management and administrative duties, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to your commissioner. Hopefully we can find someone in ANC 5D. It's open to everyone. It's open to the public, but a plus is if you're a resident that you can work directly for the community. So looking forward to building that connection and having that position available in the next 90 days. Okay, perfect. With that being said, we have a voting action item resolution for Project Pipes. Commissioner Rhodes, you have the floor. Commissioner McCollum, can you confirm? I believe we're 9 minutes behind. So
Yep.
just FYI on the time.
Not gonna be that long. Mr. Oliver Stout had mentioned about the project pipes. Although DC is going carbon neutral by 2045, it shouldn't be on the backs of low-income residents. And the resolution just going against Project Pipes is on the agenda. You can pull it up and read it. And I just want to make a motion that we pass this resolution. Again, well, how do I say that? In favor of not allowing Washington Gas to make ratepayers pay for DC going carbon neutral. Did that make sense?
I'll second.
Okay, it's on the floor by Commissioner Rhodes and second by Commissioner May. Any need for discussion? Okay. All in favor of this resolution presented by Commissioner Rhodes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, say nay. And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries. We'll go ahead and approve that resolution. Thank you, Commissioner Rhodes.
Thank you all.
Final proposal for the night. We have one for a trash committee purchase. Commissioner Roblin, I didn't get the link in there for folks to review it, but do you want to move forward with this proposal or do you want to hold to next meeting?
Move forward with it.
I mean, unless somebody who's listening would like the link first. But yeah, I don't know if I can put the link in the chat. I don't think so.
If I would
think
recommend that we get the proposal reviewed by the commission first before we vote on it. So I would ask that we postpone this, but hold it as a discussion item during our COW meeting on the 27th. What do you think, Commissioner? Commissioner
Sure,
Roblin?
yeah. It's just disappointing because we keep. Sure, yeah, fine. I'm just saying it's just a little disappointing because we keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But yeah, I agree.
Would you like to discuss it right now? Can you to give us a brief understanding of what the proposal is, just in case we can flesh anything out for our next meeting?
Well, we have a large, about $950 worth of tool purchases, which we want to lend out to constituents who would like to use them, and use for our cleanups. We plan to have 2 cleanups a month. The second Wednesday at 5, from 5 to 7, I believe, and the fourth Saturday of the month from 10 to 12. And we want to just, do some major cleanups across the whole commission.
So just to clarify, Commissioner, you want to make a proposal is to make purchase of items to use for these cleanups. There is discussion amongst one of the commissioners saying that this would be illegal based on a repetition of services provided by Department of Public Works. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, we contacted the OANC legal Council Victor, and Council Victor said it's not illegal. She said, first of all, they only lend it out part of the year. I forget what the other legal argument was, but she said, yeah, it's definitely legal for us to do this. Council Victor, Denise Victor.
Got it. Are there any?
It also,
Go ahead.
sorry, also part of the proposal is for a structure of how we're going to lend it out, which we're going to have an agenda book that people sign in, sign out. We're going to have people leave their ID and $20, and then
Deposit.
they can pick the tools up during the day and then return them before the end of the day, and they will get their ID and $20 back. So that's also in the proposal.
Okay. Was there anything else, Commissioner, before I open the questions to the commission and the public?
I don't think so, but questions if anybody has them.
I think Commissioner Henderson had her hand raised first.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Roblin, for attempting to address the directives from General Counsel, OANC General Counsel Victor. It is my contention that the resolution or proposal that you've presented does not those concerns. You have a trash committee that is not transparent. You have just a few email addresses. You don't even know who's on the committee. And I think it needs more work. So I would actually agree with Commissioner Sauceda Guzman in tabling this matter, reviewing it, getting any further feedback from the commission and interfacing with General Counsel Victor to fine tune this, because it really doesn't sound right to spend $950 of taxpayer dollars for tools, for cleanups, when one, street sweeping resumes on March 1st. The Helping Hands program is still viable. CSOSA has streamlined their processes, and I have cleanups every week with resources that have been provided by DPW, and we clean 3 single member districts. So I don't know how you're going to justify loaning people tools with a very weak level of accountability in terms of how you're going to collect this supposed $20 and provide quality control to make sure that, one, 5D residents have equal access to these tools, and that they are not just given away to friends or peoples that we have no idea, about their identity. So there's some problems with the resolution, and I would urge you, to just fix them and then come back and see if it's something that we can actually support as a community. Well, as a commission, rather. Well, and as a community.
Yeah, I don't really see those as real problems, Commissioner Henderson. I don't really see those as real problems.
Okay. Commissioner Cobb, you had a question or a hand raised?
Yeah, Commissioner Roblin, do you have that opinion from the OANC Council? Do you have that in writing or was that over the phone?
I have it in email. I can forward
cool.
it to everybody. Yeah.
That'd be great. Because we can include that with our expenditure report and everything like that.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner.
Commissioner Rose, you had your hand raised?
Yes, with the Helping Hands, I just want to add that they require, in order to get tools and supplies from them, they require a $20 deposit. And then when you return the tools, you get the money back. So they are using that and apparently it's successful. So I believe that's the template that Commissioner Roblin is using as far as $20. I'm not sure about the ID, but I'm sure they want their ID back as well. I'm just adding that.
Thank you. So in reference to quality control, Commissioner Rhodes is stating that the method is already being used by Department of Public Works. Commissioner Roblin, would you be open to maybe for folks that don't have those $20, if they're a 5D resident, just to use that identification as a form of deposit, since their tax-paying dollars already have been used for the items itself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Commissioner May?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the requirement that someone leaves their ID, because I assume some people are going to need to drive to take these tools back to their home residence with them. So then we're asking them to drive without a license.
That's a good point. I'm definitely open to dropping that requirement too. Yeah.
We could always require, like, we could make a copy of their license or something. We can hash this out in the COW too.
Got it.
I think
Photocopy
we
is a
can
good idea.
we could get into a lot of different ways. There can also be, I mean, they should be registered voters, so you can get a copy of their voter registration card. I mean, there's so many different ways we can look at this, but I do agree with Commissioner Reed when he says, leaving your driver's license is just not the most productive way of doing it. But I do support this.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have a little bit of homework there. Commissioner Roblin, with the proposal itself, would you see an increase on the cost, just so commissioners are aware that the proposal is probably just going to be a solid 950, or is it going to change?
It's a solid 9 something. I think it's more like 981 or something like that.
So we're looking at potentially 1K then.
Yeah, we had figured it out and it is in I sent everybody the attachment and all the information's in there of the price and how many of each kind of tool we are purchasing.
Okay. Okay, well, sounds good to
I can
me.
I'll resend it though.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get quorum
Yeah.
at that COW to hold to really flesh out that final proposal then. Okay, well, thank you
Great.
for allowing us just one more month to push that back. And it's probably a good time because spring is coming up. There's gonna be more folks. Street sweeping does start in March, but residents of 5D know that street sweeping does not handle everything when it comes to trash in our neighborhoods. So I'm looking forward to just giving any resources and tools necessary to allow our residents to help us clean up the streets just a bit more. Okay. With that being said, we are at the conclusion of tonight's agenda. We are opening the floor to community feedback and questions. If you are still in attendance of tonight's meeting, feel free to drop a question in the Q&A or just use the raise your hand function and we can let you ask the commission directly. If there's any items or questions or comments that the commissioners would like to add before we adjourn, feel free to take this time as well to do so. Any questions from the public? Any questions? It could be any items that we discussed today or any items that you believe that need to be discussed. You have a question? The cleanup would be part of the beautification committee, correct? Sorry if I missed that. Yes, trash committee. So beautification, trash and beautification. That would be the same. That would be part of the same group. And on the proposal, we'll make sure to include a cost breakdown and how that will be divided amongst the commission. Because I believe we placed items like trash bags, a certain amount of trash bags for every single commissioner in their single member district. So we'll put that in the proposal. Another question. Just to add just a friendly note to the public, ANC 5D did finally go with that approved purchase order that we submitted last year for yard signs that we voted on. Every commissioner is getting 9 yard signs. So if you as a commissioner haven't received them or still need to set up a time to get those yard signs, please reach out to me directly. I can do a drop off or a drop off at one of your offices if needed. ANC 5D05 in Northern Trinidad, you might have already noticed the yard signs up. They're really nice. It's a simple, not a simple, it's a really nice design that has a QR code. If you get a chance when you're walking or anything like that, scan the QR code. It'll have a list of much available resources that you might find helpful, from knowing who your ANC commissioner is, our information as a commission, information for Department of Buildings, 311 requests, a lot of info on that QR code. And feel free to direct anyone there that wants to know more about the ANC. But as always reach out to your ANC commissioners if you have any questions. And we can easily be reached via our email and phone numbers that can be accessed many more ways than one. So hopefully you're reaching out to your ANC commissioner for anything you might need. I don't see any questions from the public. I don't see anyone with their hands raised. Commissioners, was there any final comments or things that like to be said before I adjourn tonight's meeting? Commissioner Rhodes?
Yeah, I did put it in the chat earlier, but this is oversight hearing season, and there are many oversight hearings for the rest of this month and beginning of March. So if you having issues with any of the district agencies, you feel free to testify live. You can testify in person or virtually, or you can or submit a written testimony, and that's through the dccouncil.gov website.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to place a motion on the floor to adjourn tonight's meeting. I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting exactly at 9:30 p.m. Good time. Can I get a second on this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black now with the quickness as always. All in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting at 9:30, say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. And any abstentions? Nope. Okay. Motion carries. We're adjourning tonight's meeting at 9:30 p.m. Everyone, please have a good rest of your night. Be safe.